Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to can key lime juice. Outside my house, I live in South Florida, I have a big key lime tree that produces quite a lot of key limes, and you can use the same process for canning lemons or oranges or any citrus for that matter. The key lime juice can be used for many things, and we're going to show you the process. The first thing we did is we washed all our key limes really well. We scrubbed the outsides of them since they land on the floor and we pick them from the ground rather than from the tree usually. You want to make sure that they get really clean. Then we cut them all in half, and we have our big giant colander full of key limes right now. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to juice them. And this is going to be a little bit difficult to try to show you while I'm videoing it and doing it at the same time, but I'm just using a basic citrus juicer. I don't have any electric mix juicer or anything. I just use this one. It's a handheld one. You just put the half of the lime upside down. You close the handle on it, and then you squeeze. And we just squeeze into our pot of water. Into our empty pot. And we do this with all of them. When you open it, you see it's squeezed all the limes. Now we're going to just get rid of the lime rind. And we continue that for the whole entire batch. Okay, now we have all of our limes are juiced. And what we're going to do is we're going to strain it in the colander into another bowl or pot. Just to get rid of as much of the big pieces of pulp and seeds as we can. We're going to do this a couple times. Now if you want your lime juice to be filtered, then you would need to filter it at this time, and there's several ways of doing that I will post on my blog, but I like the unfiltered natural version. It does have a little bit of pulp and it is a little bit cloudy. And we're going to do this several times just to get out as much of the pulp as we can. Okay, now we have our canner. It is full with water. Our canner has the canner jar inside it. The canner rack, It's full of water, and we're waiting for it to boil. It needs to be at a boil. We also have our other pot that has some of our jars that we're going to use. We've got 5 jars in here. Fill the pot up with water. Make sure they're all covered with water. And we're also going to boil those to sterilize them. We've already cleaned the jars, and now they just have to be sterilized along with their lids and the rims. We also have our lime juice put into 2 smaller pots since we're out of big pots and stove space. And we have to heat that up to a boil before we put it in the pots. But we're going to wait for the big pot and this pot to start boiling before we start boiling the small ones, so they don't have to boil too long. The lime juice doesn't have to be boiled too long. It just needs to be boiling a little bit before it's put in the pots. Okay, I'm going to do the best I can while doing this and videoing it to show you, since I don't have my helper today, to show the rest of our canning process. We have 2 of them here already canned, and they're sitting in the bath waiting to be submerged with all the rest. You put them with the rack up and you just sit them in there and make sure they're in about 1 inch of water as they sit there so they stay warm. We have our key lime juice that is gone to a boil. We're actually going to turn this down because it doesn't need to be that rolling of a boil. We have both of them going. We're working with this pot right now, and we have our sterilized pots that have been boiling, and they're now just simmering in this water, waiting to be picked up as we use them. We also have our scoop and our funnel, our wide mouth funnel, and we have our magnetic lid picker-upper that has a magnet on one end, and our jar picker-upper, which has little rubber grips on the end to easily pick up our jars and move them. Now, we sterilized everything, including all of our utensils and our jars, our lids, our rims, all of that before we did it. And now what we do is we're going to take our jar lifter, and we're going to lift one of our jars out of the water, the boiling water. We make sure we let all the water drip out. Lift it upside down, and then we're going to lay it onto our towel, which is sitting here, just like that. And we're going to take our scoop, and we're going to scoop some of our key lime juice into the scoop, and then pour it. Yep, we actually forgot to put the funnel. We put our funnel on first, take our key lime juice, pour it in through the funnel so it doesn't get as much as we can off, keeps as much as we can off the edges, and we're going to fill it up until it's 1/4 inch from the top. So we just keep doing this until it's full. And if you look, you can see where it's coming up around the funnel. We lift our funnel to see if it's a 1/4 inch from the top, and that's just about right. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take a clean paper towel and we're going to wipe the edges. We don't want any residual key lime juice on the edges or it won't seal properly. So it's very important to wipe this rim, and you can also wipe the edges of where the seals of the ring are going to go. Alright, after we do that, we take our magnetic lid lifter, we reach in, we find our lid. You can see it just attaches nicely like that. We turn it to where it's attached to the back. We let the water drip off of that, and we place it right onto our lid. This is the hard part to do with the video while I'm doing this, so that it seals right on to the edges of our jar. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing with our rim. We're going to lift it out by the magnet, let it drip, place it right on the edge, take our magnet off of it, and twist the rim on. You don't twist it really tight. That doesn't come until our process is almost completed, when you'll tighten the rims. What's sealing is not the rim, it's the actual jar lid that we put on first. The rim just holds it in place. But if that seal isn't put on properly, then whatever you are preserving will go bad. So then we're going to take our jar holder. We just put it around the top of our jar like this. We lift it and bring it into our bath of water that is waiting. Then we have it set up. Now we have 3 of them done, and we go on to do the next one in the same way. Now our last step is to place the can holder that is in our canning pot down into the boiling water. We just lift it and gently drop it in, making sure our cans don't move along the way, to where they are completely submerged in the boiling water. And then we have to let that boil for 5 minutes. 5 minutes at our altitude. If you're in higher altitude, you need to do it at least 8 minutes. I'm in South Florida, so we're definitely close to sea level, so it only needs about 5 minutes. So we're going to set our timer for 5 minutes, and we're going to let that boil. We can replace the lid so that it stays boiling, and we leave that for 5 minutes. Okay, now our timer is up. The 5 minutes has passed. We're going to remove the lid. At this point, we can turn off the heat. This is the only batch that we're doing at the moment. We're going to take our jar grabber. We're going to carefully lift them out, right side up. Make sure you drain the water off, and lay them onto a clean towel on the counter. You don't want to put them right next to each other. You want to make sure you give them space, as they're still going to set at this point. You hear that little clicking on occasion? That's not a bad thing. That happens sometimes as they're sealing. Used 1 pint jars. We have it filled 7 of them. We had a whole colander, spaghetti colander, packed perfectly full with the key limes and overflowing almost, and that filled about 7 pints. Or actually, these are half pints, sorry. So that's filled about 7 half-pint jars with our key lime juice. Now this is going to set. We let them set until they're completely cool. And then what we'll do is we tighten the bands and we put them away to store. They store for up to about a year. You want to mark them and make sure you marked when you canned them. They should last for about a year if they're stored in a cool, dark, dry place. And you can give them as gifts with lots of ideas for how to use the key lime juice or recipes. And visit our blog at www.summerscloset.com/blog for more ideas on how to use the key lime juice.